Hello everybody, how's it going, and welcome back to the As Always podcast. This is episode 158, and today, whoa, holy shit, I am one of your hosts, James, and I'm joined as always by Tyler, is what I was trying to say there.
As always has got my friend, that was weird.
Jesus Christ, it's like everything went completely wrong there. I've been doing this
COVID.
Intro for years, and yeah, everything went to shit.
Your only excuse is you've got COVID right now.
I do have COVID. That's why I look particularly like shit today, more so than usual, for anyone who's wondering. Before, you start commenting mean things that really hurt my feelings. I'm not able to get much sleep these days. Every night I'm coughing a lot. So it's just great. I'm absolutely loving my life right now at the minute. So everything's fantastic. How are you, Tyler?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
I've
got
okay.
no.
That's good.
Yeah, I got no complaints here.
I'm happy for you.
Thanks, man. This episode is a day late because I was away over the weekend, and it was really good, and I had a great time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's good.
But unfortunately now David Jerome, for those who don't know, has once again left for fucking a year overseas again. So
God damn.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate, but this last weekend hung out with my boys, and we went to a music festival, had a great fucking time.
Nice.
It was a good send off. So it was good to get a break. I was fucking water weight cutting last week, and that was awful experience. So It was nice to be able to eat food and be hydrated. It was beautiful. So I'm stoked to be here today. Horizon Forbidden West is out. There's a lot of stuff to go over, a lot of gaming to talk about, a lot of news to talk about, and I'm very excited.
Yep.
But of course, before we get into any of these topics, if you like what you're listening to here or you're seeing here and you want to hear more, head over to patreon.com/as always. And for just as little as $1 a month, you get exclusive access to over 130 episodes of the Clubhouse podcast. That's the best podcast on the internet. The Clubhouse podcast, the People's podcast, powered by you, the people. Plus, lots of cool bonuses, perks, rewards. Check out the different tiers. Go check it out. There's a public episode of Clubhouse that's right here on the Four Pillars Network that came out yesterday at the time that this is released. So you should definitely go check that out. And of course, we've got to thank our producers, which is one of the tiers you can grab onto if you head over to Patreon. We've got to thank those producers because they do make the show happen. We wouldn't be here without them. So thank you. Ollie, the Superior Ollie, Avery Dobbs, Clark 53, Damien, Epic Alaric, or Gilgadad's Shining Shaft, Ferentino, Flash Paradox, Franco, Jasper Olsen, King Richard III, Ryan Hafer, Tristan Weaver, Viridian, and Ballsack 47. Thank you, you sweet vintage lads, for helping power this podcast. James, what else is new other than you've got COVID?
That's not new though. That's old.
That is old. Well, sort of, because what was the last Four Pillars podcast? You had it, obviously.
Yeah.
But you didn't think it was COVID, from memory.
Yeah.
You were like, no, COVID.
Yeah, I didn't think it was COVID. It didn't feel the same as when I had it that first time, and I was like, "There's no way I have COVID. It's not fucking COVID." And I did two tests at home, and they were both negative, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't have COVID." But Elva convinced me to do a proper test. We both went and had a proper test. Hers was negative, but mine was positive. And so I was like, okay, well, there it is. I guess I do have COVID. So that's that. And it's still here. I've had this for 2 weeks now, just over 2 weeks now. And it's still here. It's not going away.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
It's such a bitch. I fucking hate it. And it's annoying as well, because I've had this script written out for the Shadow of War video for a week and a half now. I can't fucking record it because my voice I still sound sick, and I don't want that to be
This is literally the conversation we had on the last As Always podcast, wasn't it?
I know.
Or was it the last Clubhouse podcast? I don't even know, but I'm pretty
whenever
sure
it was, yeah. Four Pillars probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying. I wanted to get this video out before Horizon, which I would have been able to do if I wasn't sick, but now it's whatever. It'll come out at some point. It's not like my Horizon video is going to come out anytime soon. That's going to take me a bit, but
yeah. But you've already done a Horizon video as well. So.
Well, I have already done a Horizon video, yeah. So I'm up to date. I've got my initial sort of mini review out, so that's cool. That's out. now I can just wait a while and perfect my big video on it. And I have the Shadow War video out before that, so it is fine. It's just annoying though.
Yeah. No, it's super frustrating. I don't know. I feel bad for you. That's fucking shit.
Yeah,
But
it do be like that.
In good news, the Horizon Forbidden West is out, and
It is out.
Obviously, big portion of last episode of the podcast was Horizon Forbidden West. A big portion of this episode is going to be our spoiler-free deep dive discussion of Horizon Forbidden West after we've both played. I mean, I don't know, a significant amount of time. James, I know you played way more than me.
Simply too much.
I would dare to say so. Since like 2 days of the game being released, you're like, I played 20 hours. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I have played much more than 20 hours now.
Dude, that's
it's crazy.
insane.
It's crazy. I mean, I said this before, but like I said it in my video, but I haven't played a game this religiously probably since Red Dead Redemption 2. Like normally I can play a game for like, I play like maybe 3 hours a day or something. Then I'll like chill out and do something else, work on a video, do something. But because I've got COVID, I've literally not, like I can't work. Like there's nothing I can do. I can't record my video. I've done all the work towards it. Now I've just got to wait. So I've got none of that to do. I got to isolate, so I can't actually go anywhere. The only other thing I could do is
you
like,
won't go anywhere anyway, but yeah.
No, that's very true. But the option's not there now. Or I would just like, hang out with Elva and do something, but I don't want to do that. I don't like her. So, I'm just playing Horizon now. And I've been playing it a lot. So I reckon I've probably put like 40 hours into it or something.
Right.
But it's very fun. I'm enjoying it. So there's the upside to that. I have enjoyed completely no-lifing the game for the past couple of days. It's been a nice experience. It feels like I'm doing what I used to do when I was a kid, and I could just play games crazy long amounts of times, which is it's fun. It's fun. But there you go.
Yeah, I mean, this is similar to you. This feels like a first for me for a while with Horizon Forbidden West. It's the first time I've been at work or been somewhere through the day and thought to myself, fuck, I can't wait to get home tonight and play Horizon. That's the first time I've had that, I think, since Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. I
would say. That's the last time I thought to myself, fuck, I just can't wait to play this game again, and get home. Usually it's like, I'll just play a game because I've got time. Oh yeah, I'll play that. But literally I was at work today and I was like actively thinking about the game, and I'm like, wow, it's been a very, very long time since that's happened.
Yeah.
Very, very long time since that's happened.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it is just that it's that good. It's that good, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get into Horizon straight away. We've got to keep people here, right? But we will deep dive into it without story spoilers, but we'll deep dive into some basic setup, basic plot from the early portion of the game, and then some general stuff of just gameplay mechanics, world, all that sort of great stuff. That's going to happen on this episode, and we will do a Forbidden West spoiler cast, no doubt, as an episode of the Four Pillars podcast as well in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. It's not going to be the next episode because I'm certainly not going to be finished next week, but I'd say the one after that will be the episode, spoiler cast for Horizon Forbidden West. My internet's dropped. Let's cut from here. It's that good. It's that good, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get into Horizon straight away. We've got to keep people here, right?
Did the call just disconnect? What the fuck? It's 19 minutes past. That doesn't normally happen. I've been caught with my pants down here. Shocked. And alone. Yep. You're right, Josh. It's just me and you now. Well, I suppose it's not. You've got both footages in your editing timeline. You might not even be listening to this. I might be talking completely to myself. but that's all right. I have to occupy myself some way, I suppose. Man, I feel like shit. That's great though. I'm so happy I feel this way. I'm just feeling amazing. My health has never been better. Fuck. Yo, hello
And
again.
we're back. I was just saying that we'll be doing a spoiler cast for the Four Pillars podcast in the coming weeks as well. So
Yes.
the people have that to look forward to.
Very nice and very cool.
Which is exciting, super exciting. But there's a few topics that I want to dive into before we get into that. That has been sort of around in the news the last couple of weeks. Obviously, next week though, there's a big movie out, James.
Ooh.
Do you know what movie that is?
Next week.
The Batman.
Oh, that's next week. Holy shit! It's next week.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so much closer than I thought it was. Where's the time gone?
Yeah, I know. February's
That's
a short
exciting.
month.
It is a short month. That is fact. That's a fact. Yeah.
So as the time feels different.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, even with those just 2 days less, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, February's over. Yeah, it is. It's done.
Wow. Can't believe it.
Yeah, how do you feel? Like, they've obviously put so much material out. There's reviews starting to come out. The press has seen it. Seen some interviews with the cast. Lots of trailers. What are your feelings? What are your thoughts heading into next week and predictions for the Batman?
I've not seen a lot of material from the film. I've not really looked at much. I saw obviously some of the trailers as they came out. Excuse me. But the last thing I think I watched was the scene at, I think it's at a funeral or something. I can't remember. I watched it a while ago, but the clip they put out. That's the last thing I saw. I've not really seen anything else, and I'm pretty content with that because I'm gonna see the film. So I don't really need to see anything else from it, and it is so soon now. So I'm just looking for. Oh shit! Did I give you COVID?
Yeah, I've got COVID from you.
Oh no! I'm so sorry.
Yep. No.
But yeah, the film looks really sick, and I'm just so excited to see, you know, where they take it and where it goes and what the actual story is and how it plays out, because we don't know a great deal about that. At least I don't think we do. For at least from what I've seen, it's sort of like, you know, we know bits and pieces, but we don't really know how the whole movie plays out, what direction it's going in, what sort of themes and like sort of subjects they're trying to tackle here. So I'm just very much looking forward to seeing this film and just seeing how everything plays out and how they execute Batman and all of those things, because I think it just, everything else, just the vibe and the tone and the art style, everything just looks so nice. I mean, I'd be very shocked if this film isn't great, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree. Everything from the tone, cinematography, art style, music, and just the casting looks absolutely phenomenal. I've been a big fan of the casting of Robert Pattinson. It's Batman and Robin. Easy confusion. Robert Pattinson. You know, since it was announced, and I just think he's a tremendous actor. And everything we've seen so far is proven right, and I love, like you said, the Riddler's the villain of this one. I've always just thought they've never done Riddler very well in live action, and is definitely an underused villain from his potential, and I love the way they go with this. Very detective heavy, very grounded, and in terms of tone, it does sort of feel like. I know this is a weird comparison because it's a different movie, different time, but Joker obviously was meant to be done in this sort of ultra realistic but also weird comic book heavy combination to try to balance the two really well, and it feels like that's what this movie's also trying to do. Yeah. Like the Nolan trilogy was very, this is if it was real type thing. Whereas the Batman sort of feels like it's taking the comic book fantasy and trying to make the fantasy real. I don't know if that is articulating about.
I know what you mean, for sure.
Yeah. Which is, very, very, very cool to see. And I still am this hopeful because there's apparently news that they are developing a second Joker film. If they're going to have a Joker in this sort of Batverse, which it seems like this is one of several Batman movies they're going to be doing with Robert Pattinson. Hopefully.
Especially if this movie slaps and everyone loves it.
Yeah, which I think it will. I think it will. I think it's going to have a lot of good buzz around it. And
I hope so.
I think Batman needs a resurgence. Spider-Man's dominating at the moment. But I feel like in some ways that's also helping Batman because it's sort of like the return to the top of the old school superheroes. They're not really old school, but you know what I'm saying? Like when we grew up, it was Spider-Man and Batman. They were huge. They were the big superheroes. And now it's Iron Man, Captain America.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man's the big one now. And it feels just like, and so is Batman. Okay. Yeah. It's a bit of like a cycle, and hopefully, I don't know, the fact that Spider-Man's at the top, can somehow help Batman? That these big superhero movies are still popular, even though every time there's one of these big Marvel movies, everyone's like, well, that's it. It's the end of the superhero era. People are over it. And then they put out another big movie. And it's like, no, it's not. People love it.
People do love it. That's true. Yeah, I think it'll do well. And I think, like, having Batman as sort of like a counter to the MCU in a way, because it's not the same sort of film, is nice as well, because it's good to see something a little bit different. As much as I do love the MCU, and I'm not trying to shit on the MCU and say, we need the different stuff. It's like the only thing we've had really to counter the MCU has been the DCEU, which sucks. So it's nice to see something like the Batman, and the Joker, obviously, as well, which was, a great film that Twitter now hates for some reason, but Joker was great, and it looks like the Batman is also going to be really great as well. So hopefully, DC can do more of that, and we'll have two, set of superhero sort of things at once that are different from each other, which I think is always nice to have those sort of counters there, which is fun. So yeah, I think it'll be great.
Yeah, me too. In terms of more live action stuff, since we last spoke, the Lord of the Rings of Power first trailer dropped. Now we did talk about it a bit on Clubhouse.
We did,
but we did talk a little bit about it on Clubhouse. Not a lot, just at the start of the show.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
Yeah, we just talked about the trailer in general, and we were talking about the big time gaps. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to talk to you about the controversy that's surrounding the trailer and Tolkien fans, because I see a lot of this online with the Tolkien Lord of the Rings fandom that's about, and there's two different sort of sides I see. Neither like this trailer.
Okay.
Right. Neither are excited for this movie because they're skeptical purists. And Tolkien fans are very terrifying, I'll be honest. As one myself. They're just very elitist, very aggressive, very knowledgeable of Tolkien.
Yeah.
And am I one of them?
Sense.
Yeah.
I get it. I do get it.
Yeah. But one side of the controversy is this. The fact that there's female-fronted dwarves and people of color characters.
Right.
It's apparently woke culture. It's apparently, political agenda, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason they're adding these characters in. So that's
Classic.
One side of it.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure that would have been me. That would have been me 5 years ago. I would have been right on that train, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's, because they're not being true to the source material and what was written. There was no, black people that were characters, and it's like, well, that's a fucking weird hill to die on. In fact, that's also not true, because there are characters in Tolkien described as having dark skin or tanned skin and things like that. Like, so that's not really true. There just wasn't any people of color in the Lord of the Rings movies, other than the Easterlings, who are the bad guys. So that's, you take that what you will. And that's not me saying it's a racist film, because they're my favorite films of all time.
They're racist films. That's it. We've concluded that here and now on the Otherways podcast.
That's not the case.
It's over. It's done. The case is over.
I'm just simply pointing out an observation here.
Mm-hmm.
But you do what you want with that. But I just think that's such a weird thing for people to be focused on personally, especially because in the text there are, again, people of color or described as having darker skin. So I don't really understand the big deal, and it's not like there's not female dwarves. I think part of it is some of those characters in particular are made up characters. They're not Tolkien originals.
Right.
So I think some of that they're using as the excuse. Or that's why, let's say, a Tolkien fan might say they're only in there because of political reasons. They're only in there because of woke culture.
Forced diversity.
Yeah, they're forced diversity because that's to make up a character. Yes, yeah. So I partly can see how, from their point of view, that care about that stuff have then made that conclusion. You know what I mean? That doesn't then surprise me that they've come to that conclusion. But there's the other side, and this is my favorite side of the Tolkien fandom. They think that anyone that's upset about woke culture's mad at the wrong thing. It's a distraction. It's a distraction.
Right.
They're trying to get us talking about woke culture when the real bad stuff is the fact that the show's going to be horrendous and going to spit on the law, and they're not showing us any details, and they're getting us talking about woke culture and not talking about the fact that there's no plot given in this trailer. Like, there's people that are like, nah, this shit's a distraction. This is like...
That's insane.
Yeah, no, I know, dude.
That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Why would you think that?
Well, because the show's going to be trash, and they don't want us talking about how it's not being true to Tolkien's lore, and they're making stuff up, but they're getting us to really focus on the highlight. Because they even made Prime Video made a video that I think I saw that was unlisted on their channel, and it was like a panel of people of color discussing diversity being in Middle Earth for the first time and what that means. So I think they're like, so they're trying to put out this content that's so specific to this, and it's not because they care about that. It's a distraction because they don't want us talking about how the show's going to suck. And I'm like, wow.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's such a leap, dude. It's such a leap.
Oh, that's
and
crazy.
There's one guy I saw who was like dressed in a full like medieval outfit, and he was sitting at some like medieval table doing his video, and he was talking about how it's all a distraction and how he studied not just medieval culture and Tolkien literature, but he's also studied woke movement, so he understands how they think. And it's like,
what does that mean?
Dude? I don't know, dude, but it was wild. I wish I could find it for you, but I was like, this is mental. And does this guy know Tolkien really well? Yeah, I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying he's still an insane person.
That's
still an insane person. But have you heard about that is what I'm trying to get at. And what are your thoughts on that?
What are my thoughts? I don't think there's a problem here at all. I think the show could very well suck. Although I'm not a Tolkien purist. I don't know a lot about Tolkien lore and Middle-earth and all of that stuff. So to me, watching this show is going to be... I'm not going to at every point be comparing it to, Tolkien's writing and stuff and all of his work. I'm just going to be viewing it as a show. Yeah, I know you will. I'm just going to be viewing it as a show that is, obviously the comparison I can draw it to is like the films, because I'm sure they want to take inspiration from the world that they created there in those films and the way that it looks. I mean, that's why they filmed it in New Zealand, at least the first season, is because, that's sort of the representation of Middle-earth that we have. And it's so, I guess there'll be that comparison for me, like how much does this feel like the Lord of the Rings films? But other than that, I guess I'm just going to be viewing it as something brand new. And so to me, I guess it'll be sort of like a true test of like, is this just a good show on its own, without any like knowledge of the source material, similar to like how I went into The Witcher, I guess, because a lot of people really didn't like The Witcher, but that's because they're drawing that comparison to the books, which, by the way, after reading Blood of Elves, it's not even the same story. Like, it's not even close. It's not even the same thing.
Really?
It's fucking weird. Wow. It's crazy. They just invented something completely new when they made the show. Not to
Wow,
say that
that's
it's
so
bad.
bizarre. I really thought the
enjoyed
point
the
of
show,
it was
but-
to stay close to.
Yeah, it's weird. Season 1
The
was.
source material.
Season 1 was very close.
Well, I guess that's
but
why I thought you assumed season 2 is going to be the same.
It just was not at all. It's a different story. It's so weird. But so I can understand why people weren't happy with that. But obviously for me, like going into The Witcher without having read the books was like I could just take it for what it was, and I did enjoy season 2. I thought it was really good. That being said, I also really enjoyed Blood of Elves as well. I think it's a great book as well. So I like both, and I can see them as separate different things. But going into, the Rings of Power is going to be sort of like I'm going in without any pre-knowledge of any of this stuff other than what you've talked about on podcasts. So, I guess that'll sort of be when I can give my opinion on that will sort of be like, what is this like from the point of view of someone that doesn't really know anything about any of this stuff and has just watched Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And that'll be interesting, I suppose, an interesting take, which, we'll see where that goes, but it could just be a terrible show as well. We don't really know.
Now, here's... I just was thinking about this as well for, like, what are we going to do on the network for it? Because I want to do something for every episode of this show, at least for this first season, right? Because I will see it through at least the first season. Yeah. And we've got, like, Streamcast on the network, but one, it's not my show. I can't just hijack it. I mean, I can, obviously, because it is. But I was just being polite. But I mean, like... And I mean this also with the greatest respect. Eddie and Sheps don't like The Lord of the Rings, right? Because they're idiots. That we do know they're actually idiots.
They're actual idiots.
They're actually
court
dumb.
Jesters, some might say.
Well, they're actually dumb, and that we know that.
They actually have half a brain. It's true.
So between them, and that's being generous.
Yeah. Between them,
and
they share.
What I want to say is this: you can't pay me enough money in the world to sit and co-host that show with them and talk about this when you have my Tolkien knowledge, and you want me to sit with their brain dead husks and pretend they know anything about anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. So either I do like a sub series of Streamcast or do I make my own show that's the same show on the same channel? You know what I'm saying? How do we do this? What I'm saying is they can't be on the episodes that I do.
Yeah. Forget them. You could do like an as always spoiler cast, but just you if you want.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm happy to do it with you. Thanks, but I assume you don't want to. You know what I mean? Like that's an extra podcast a week.
That is a lot of stuff
think
because it's a lot. How many episodes are in the season? I don't know, but too many.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it would be an interesting thing because you with all your Tolkien lore, you can go through that and you can talk about it and bounce it off me, and I can talk about what it was like to watch it. As someone that doesn't know a lot, so it'd be quite an interesting thing. So yeah, maybe we could do that. I'll try and squeeze in another podcast between suicide attempts.
Which is tough because there's a lot.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Why is it always so funny?
Oh
it
man,
be funny. It's awful, but I just make
it's always funny, isn't it?
Really laugh every time.
Yeah.
I am actually. I started rereading the Silmarillion in prep.
Oh yeah, you did say that. Yeah. On Clubhouse.
And I'm a good quarter of the way through it again, and I'm just like, fuck, this is just this world's unbelievable. Middle Earth is just unfucking believable, and I'm just loving being back, and I'm just pumped because the biggest Lord of the Rings fan I know in my life is David Jerome, and the other day he goes to me, Tyler, I think it's going to be a shit show, and I said, David, even if it's shit, let's just enjoy the fact that we can talk about Lord of the Rings and it's topical again. And like we can brag about our Tolkien knowledge and it sort of be topical and cool. And people will think we know stuff about it. He's like, that's true. I'll take that. If that's what we get out of it, I'm fine with that. You know, we're talking about Lord of the Rings now more than we ever have since we've been doing this show. So that excites me. People will be rewatching the movies. We can celebrate the movies before the show starts. And hopefully it's at least an episode or two that's good before it goes total shit, which is probably what I expect.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope it's good. I do hope it's good. But it's difficult with Lord of the Rings because obviously, like, so much
You're talking
of what
about
was
quite
like,
literally 100 years of lore.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like, because Lord of the Rings was like, it's so old, relatively speaking, and it's like we're never gonna get anything new from the source, and so it's like when you look at like something like Game of Thrones, or I'm trying to think of something else that's like
Star Wars,
based on something, no, like based on a book or something,
Harry Potter.
Yeah, when you get things like that, it's like you get the author working with the directors, and like they put together something that's quite authentic, and like you build from that. Whereas you can't do that with this.
With an author that's been dead for 60 years. Yep.
Exactly. So it's like it's just trying your best to get it right. So it's an interesting one. I really do hope it's good though. I do hope it's good, because it would be nice to have something new, Lord of the Rings related, because it's such a great universe with so much rich lore that it would be a shame to have it not tapped into in like a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be certainly layers to it that I really enjoy, and because I love the world so much, but I don't just love the world as a piece of literature. I also absolutely love the world visually and on screen and its screen adaptations. And I still love The Hobbit, even though I don't love it even close to much as Lord of the Rings. So it's just the on-screen world is always been something I love too. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm more partisan to giving it a chance and maybe liking it more than a regular Tolkien fan. And again, they are focusing on the Second Age, which is the least focus on age during the Silmarillion and the text that are written. There's not a lot written in the Second Age. It's a lot of skimmed over stuff. So yeah, sure, there's room to not totally fuck stuff up. But there's going to be definitely really important points that they need to cover and they need to do well, you know? Like Morgoth and the rise of Sauron and the corruption of Numenor and the fall of Numenor and the different elven tribes and doing a good prologue few episodes with the Maya and the Valar and the First Age as well, and set up Elrond, Galadriel. Like, there's just so much to go over, and that's what like excited me when they're mentioning they're going to go over like Silmarillion First Age shit. But then I guess it does make me a bit nervous as well, because that's a lot of stuff to cover.
No.
And when you start covering that stuff, where do you stop to the point where all of us look, that's like a Tolkien nerd will be like, well, they skipped over this bit. Why didn't they, you know? I just know how it's going to be with these book fans. They're fucking crazy people. It's going to be so toxic, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
The Tolkien fan is super, super toxic. And I didn't know that until recently. I'd say probably in the last week. I've been like, wow, these people are fucked. But visually, the trailer looks really good, I thought. I thought it used enough, like, it had some good mountain shots over that's clearly just New Zealand that we just love to see. And you're like, yep, that's Middle Earth. And then you have that, like, sort of hobbit-like creature that might become what becomes a hobbit, but there's, like, a halfling-type creature that's sort of clearly the narrator of that trailer. And I really liked that, because I'd love for there to be some through-line thread where there's an important sort of observer of the story that we see here, and it's a halfling, just because obviously hobbits are so important to the major through lines of the story and what happens in Middle Earth. It'd be nice to see them as sort of almost observers to what's happening here. As just this little sub-story that's not really the main story, but just this sort of overarching thing that pops up, and like a motif almost. Yeah. But that's the sort of vibe I got from the trailer, you know, when you see them sort of looking up at like that shooting star or whatever. I'm not sure you remember. But Numenor looks fucking sick. It looks like Gondor-ish. Yeah, look, there's a lot of fun stuff. Visually, I think there's a lot of practical effects. Yeah, there's a lot of CG, but I feel like it's less than The Hobbit had. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's almost like an in-between.
No, it was visually nice, the trailer, for sure. I liked how it looked.
Super nice. Yeah. Yeah, I thought so too. What the... There's also an anime, the 200th Lord of the Rings. Yeah. The War of the Rohirrim. So... Excited? I mean, I probably will watch it. Yeah, I probably will watch it.
Tyler watches anime.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably will watch it, and I'll probably and I'd even do a podcast on it if you wanted to.
Oh my god, imagine that.
Yeah. I mean, it's Lord of the Rings, and it's only right that, it's a bit more important than my disdain for cartoons. Is my love for Lord of the Rings.
Fuck.
Jesus.
Yep.
You sound terrible.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Did we talk about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
I don't believe so.
There's a pretty big trailer for that as well.
Yeah, that's true. There was.
What did you think of this trailer for Doctor Strange?
It was solid. It was a good trailer. I thought it was, real nice, real good. Has all the right vibes. Yeah, it just looks like a really solid, like it's going to be a really solid film. I don't know what all these rumored cameos are going to be about and how that's going to play into it and how major it'll be as part of the plot or whatever. But
what do you think the biggest cameo is going to be? What could be the most realistic, believable, big surprise that comes through?
I don't know. Like believable, I don't know. But I do think
I heard there's a Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
Tony
I was gonna
Stark
say
thing.
the Tom Cruise Iron Man is one where I'm like, people are talking about it so much that I could believe it would happen. So
Yeah.
maybe that,
Deadpool? What are your thoughts on Deadpool?
Maybe. I mean, there's been rumors that like Wolverine is gonna show up, but it's not gonna be Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It's gonna be someone else.
Yeah.
Which is
looks like Captain
odd.
Marvel's in the trailer.
Yeah.
Which would make sense because this is Miss Marvel's introduction to the MCU. Which is surprising because I thought a show was supposed to be out before this movie, but I don't think that's the case. I think this is her introduction.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we see Miss Marvel. The only other character that I was sort of curious about that's in this movie, well, not curious, it obviously makes sense, but how are they explaining Rachel McAdams' character? She's obviously the love interest of Strange.
Yeah.
She just hasn't been around. He's been in like 5 more movies. And where they're getting married?
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there, but I guess we'll find out.
Like you're supposed to tell us, oh yeah, she's just always been around. They just never mentioned her for years.
Yeah.
There's never been a mention of her.
Around,
But
she visits the sanctum sometimes. Says hi.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just weird, especially even in one of the shots. It's Doctor Strange waking up in a bed alone. You know what I mean? In the sanctum, and it's like, okay.
maybe there's a story reason for it. Maybe they'll go into that. Hopefully,
maybe it's part of the multiverse, and it's like a vision of a different universe where he gets married. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we'll find out. I'm sure.
And then he's in Narnia, and there's Minotaurs. That happens.
But does that really happen?
I don't know. There's a Minotaur. I saw it in the trailer.
I don't even remember the trailer, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Here's something I want to throw at you. Because here's the biggest, and it's not a big theory like, wow, what a genius you are, Tyler. It's a pretty common fan theory here, but it's what I think this movie's going to be about. I think you know what I'm talking about. That Scarlet Witch is the villain of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I reckon so too.
Do you reckon it's going to be a big trick of hers and she goes full evil in this movie? I feel like she's going to be a major character in the sense if we go down her psyche again, similar to WandaVision, but we actually see her go down this really dark path.
Yeah. I think so. I think she's probably going to be a villain. I mean, there's that line where she says, like, what is it? Like, when you break the rules, like, you're the hero or whatever. But when I do it, whatever, like, it's not fair or whatever. Yeah. I think that's like, to me, I feel like everyone, I've seen people on Twitter like being like, oh, that's such a cool line. She's so
Queen.
right. But I think that sounds like villain shit. I think she's about to go really evil. Like she's gonna say that and then attack Strange or something, and they're gonna fight. I don't know. I don't get vibes that that's like a cool heroic line. That seems very villainous to me. So I feel like that's sort of going to be, that's sort of an indication to me. I don't know. I feel like Wanda's gonna become the villain in some way.
And I sort of love that. She would be like such a powerful villain. Like she could be a villain for years. Like if you look at Loki, what a sort of villain he was like, overarching. Like he's not necessarily the number one villain like the Thanos, but a major key villain for many years, and I think they could do that with Scarlet Witch, and she would be incredible because obviously Elizabeth Olsen is incredible as this character. I'd love to see something different with her and it go down this direction.
Yeah, for sure. And it'd be nice to explore like, you know, can you redeem her? Is there a redemption there to be had, or is she completely gone? Like, what's going to happen? I think it would be interesting to do that and to show that, and like, where can you take her after this? Like, what do you do with that? So I think there's plenty to do there, and I think that'll be interesting to explore in future films. So that's cool. I feel like there was something big in this trailer that I'm forgetting.
I don't know, man.
Something happened.
Is there?
I watched it a while ago. I've not really been thinking about Marvel. I'm gonna have to watch the trailer again. I feel like there was something in it that I'm forgetting happening.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. But
maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, there's different Doctor Stranges. There's obviously like the evil Strange, the zombie Strange. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I thought we covered everything in the trailer.
Yeah, maybe we did.
No, I think that's it.
Cool.
Anyway,
Doctor Strange looks cool.
That's Doctor Strange. Yeah, that's right. I think those are the main things that we go before we can get into the major topic of this episode, which is, of course, Elden Ring. No, I'm just joking. It's Horizon Forbidden West, obviously.
Oh no.
Yeah,
You baited me there. That's the bait and switch.
Yeah, but I don't know anything about Elden Ring, so I don't really.
Me neither.
Yeah,
but we could talk about it for an hour, I reckon.
I reckon we probably could. Now,
I reckon we could do it.
What when we say Elden Rings, is this somehow related to the Lord of the Rings? James, could you tell me that?
Yep.
It is.
Yep.
How so? Like, in what? Do you know the timeline?
It's the 12th age.
The 12th age of Middle Earth.
It's bold, but I think it's gonna work out.
How many years between the end of the Third Age, right, where the end of the Lord of the Rings is, and obviously now in the 12th Age, because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of. It's like 3,500 years long. The Third Age in itself. How many? Is it? Are they that long? Are they shorter? Like
this is like 70,000 years in the future. They still haven't figured out how to make a car yet. They don't know what they're doing.
Do they have magic? Still?
They have magic. They have magic.
Right. But no cars or any advanced technology.
No. They just got stuck. Everything's exactly the same as it was in Lord of the Rings. They were
really?
like, we don't know
for
what to do.
70,000 years.
Yeah.
Everything's
they were
exactly
like, we've
the
got
same.
magic. We don't need, an iPhone. So they didn't make one.
They saw the iPhone and thought, we don't need that.
No, we don't need that.
We could have it, but we don't need it. So we're not going to have it.
No, too much temptation there. They were like, we can't do that again. Not after the rings of power, We can't make that mistake again with the iPhone.
Right. I see. In the Fars and Mordor, with Forged Secret, this iPhone with fucking 5 cameras on it or some shit.
Yeah. There's so many cameras, just way too many cameras on it. The whole thing's actually a camera. They were like, we can't do this. We can't do this again. No technology ever again. We don't invent another thing. All right.
Is that what the story of Elden Ring's about? Would you say?
Yeah, the story of Elden Ring sort of tells how Middle Earth is at this point in time, and the way that they sort of realize that they can never invent another thing, because the last time they did that, it almost spelled the downfall of the world. So they just they're now just in this purgatory of keeping things exactly the same.
Yeah. So is some evil Dark Lord trying to create something new, like an invention?
It's Steve Jobs, yeah.
It's the sewing machine. It's the...
Yes, it's the sewing machine. Someone's trying to invent the sewing machine in Middle Earth. And they're like, no way. And the sewing machine is called the Elden Ring. And that's why everyone's so freaked out. Because not again. Not one of those again. It's not even a ring. It's a sewing machine. It looks like a sewing machine. It's really big as well. Couldn't wear it.
Or was the sewing machine forged the ring?
No, it's just a normal sewing machine. It just makes clothes and scarves
Yeah.
and things, you know?
Yeah. But they magic scarves and clothes?
No, normal ones. And they just, it just patches up holes in clothes.
Yeah.
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 That's it. But everyone's very, very scared of it.
Yeah. So who do we play? Like, what's our role in it?
Oh, we don't have a role in that. That's not even relevant. What I'm talking about. I can't wait for Elden Ring, man. I'm so excited.
You don't have a role. It doesn't matter. Who we are doesn't matter. In Elden Ring, it just doesn't matter. That's not relevant.
Stupid. I don't know. Does that get you hyped? Are you looking forward to Elden Ring?
The great. The sewing machine.
Yeah.
It's called the Elden Ring. What does Elden mean?
Who knows? We'll find out.
It's
when
the
we play
Elvish
game.
word for like Olden Ring. So it's like some ring for the olden days, and they're like, oh, it's the one ring again.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a mix-up, miscommunication, mistranslation. You know.
Yeah. Okay. So we're nobody. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about that bit.
Yeah, and do we have are we trying to find the Elden Ring? Are we trying to destroy the Elden Ring? Are we trying to stop the Elden Ring? Or
No. We just hear about it in a tavern once.
Yeah, okay.
That's it.
And that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
That's
Everything
it.
we do is separate.
To the main thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the main thing's happening on the side.
Yeah.
We don't
you hear
know
about
about
it
it.
sometimes. Like you hear about it once
sometime.
and then like again later on.
Yeah, right. But like that's just by chance. It's not really like it's not actually a connected story. That
No, it's optional.
You're a part
too.
of that.
You can miss
But
it.
you could go through the whole game
Yeah.
and never hear about the Elden Ring.
Yeah, I think it's quite a bold move to be honest.
Yeah. This is the boldest thing since The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah,
this is the most bold.
I
Where
think it's
you
gonna be quite
could go
contentious,
through
yeah.
the entire game from the start of the game to the credits, you're saying,
Yeah.
and not hear
Yeah.
or see the Elden Ring.
Yeah, well, it's like, when you play one of those games where they're like, well, you could play the whole thing without killing a single person. It's like that. But it's like, you could play the whole thing and you just never hear about the Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like
Yeah.
a run people can do, If you want
Yeah.
to do the no Elden Ring run, you just never, speak to that NPC that will give you the...
So, do you feel there'll be a lot of there'll be a speed running community around this sort of playthrough?
I think so. I think it'll be a good skip.
Would you partake in that?
Yeah, I might, yeah.
Yeah.
That might be my next speed run.
World record would be the Elden Ringless Elden Ring playthrough.
Exactly, yeah. Any percent. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so who are you that, like, I know it's not relevant who you are particularly, but do you pick your race? Are you a human? Are there elves around? Are there hobbits around? Like, who's around in the 12th age of Middle Earth? I don't know about this.
So you can, so it's just people,
So you can only be a man. Or
yeah,
a female.
and no,
the
you can
race
only be
of
a
man.
man. No, you can only be a man.
Yeah. Oh,
Male,
is it?
yeah.
Oh, why is that?
Because, in keeping with Tolkien law, this game doesn't have forced diversity in it. So you can actually only be a white man in this game, which I think is, pretty cool of them
Yeah.
to be that in keeping with
Wait, what,
Tolkien
dude?
law. It's, you know me, I love my Tolkien lore. This is very,
Okay.
you know.
I don't know
So-
anything about the 12th age. You're teaching me about it. So
Exactly.
who am I to-
And so you play as just a man who lives in the Shire because they've
a man
moved
that
in.
lives in the Shire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sometime in the 6th age, the men came in and they burned it to the ground and they killed every hobbit.
During the 6th age.
Yeah. So now just people have. So it looks like they've really built it up. It's quite a large city.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's a metropolis. Yeah. It's
the Shire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is-
It's And they
Well, the Shire's a region. It's not, but they've made it just one big city.
It's a city. Yeah.
Right. And it's called the Shire.
It's called the Shire, but it's lots of like high-rise buildings now.
But I thought they hadn't invented anything. It was exactly the same.
No, it's exactly the same. Just imagine like a high-rise, medieval building. It's just really big.
So it's just towers, like stone towers.
Yeah. Just big stone towers.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's basically just like, you just live there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Well, it's a farming simulator, so.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
From what I'd seen, I guess from the gameplay. To be fair, I haven't seen much. I wouldn't even know.
No, yeah, it's really hard. Apparently.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And those are. It's from the studio that made. Wait, which studio is it again that made this?
It's from Software. They've decided to do something new. They previously made Dark Souls.
Yeah. Oh, I thought. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
And they decided to just take it in a new direction.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were like, we want to return to that Dark Souls formula, and they were like, okay, but what if we did the hardest farming simulator we've ever made? And obviously they partnered with, I don't know, Tolkien's grandson, whoever's doing this,
Yeah, okay.
And he was like, I love the idea. I think it's an amazing idea. And they actually found like a piece of writing that Tolkien had left in a drawer. It was just like a piece of paper.
Yeah.
With like a few notes scrawled down. They just turned that into a whole game.
Right. And it's like 12th age, 70,000 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all just white men exist and they're afraid to invent things.
Yeah.
But then someone accidentally invented the sewing machine called the Elden Ring that sews clothes and scarves and things.
Yeah.
But that's actually not, and that's like they've got to find that, destroy it to save the world. But that actually isn't in the game. You only hear about it maybe
no.
if you're lucky or choose to find it in like a tavern.
Yes.
In between farming in the Shire that's high-rise stone buildings.
Yep.
Cool. And that comes out Friday, is that right?
Yeah. It comes out Friday.
Okay.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
I'm so excited. Yeah. That's going to be fun.
Jesus fucking Christ.
No, you're welcome.
That was the dumbest conversation we've ever had. You were right. We could have talked about that for an hour. We could have. We definitely could have.
We definitely could have kept going. Yeah.
Yeah. But without further ado, let's actually get serious. Let's get into Horizon Forbidden West.
Serious. Let's do it.
Serious. Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah.
How many hours have you played of this game?
Yeah, it's probably like 40 hours at this point.
What?
How many hours I've played of this game? Yeah, it's got to be something like that.
How have you not finished it?
I am just doing everything. I'm just soaking in everything. It's just, I'm just enjoying being in this world so much that I'm just like, I have no urgency to just like go finish the main story. I'm just like enjoying every little thing. And I've liked that every single side quest feels so like involved and interesting, and like, the animations and everything, like it just feels like you're playing like this isolated, its own little story, and I've been loving that about it. So I've just been doing absolutely everything. But I do like that the way the game is built. Like, I am so over leveled and I have so many skills, it's absolutely crazy. So I like that. I can imagine if you only played the main story, it's probably completely doable to just do that. Which was similar to Horizon Zero Dawn, the way that it's balanced. So I think that's really nice. But yeah, I'm playing a lot. I'm playing a lot.
So talk to me about your general thoughts, story, game overall included. You made a video calling it the perfect sequel. Tell me about it. I didn't want to watch the video and spoil your opinion for myself. So give me a rundown. What do you mean by that? The perfect sequel?
Yeah. So I think the way, because a lot of games these days, when they put out a new game, put out a sequel, they try to reinvent the wheel. They try to make it just this new thing where like everything's changed and overhauled. And I really miss when games used to just be sequels in like the way they're supposed to be. Like Horizon Forbidden West is very much Horizon Zero Dawn, but it plays better, it looks better, it's got all the mechanics and like technical aspects are improved. Overall, it's just a better game. Like they've just improved on everything that needed improving on, and I think that's something that we don't see a lot in video game sequels. Very much to liken it to, the Ezio trilogy, AC2 to Brotherhood, it feels very similar in that aspect where, Horizon Zero Dawn to Forbidden West is like an AC2 to Brotherhood, in the way that it's built as a game. And I think that's something that just shows what Sony want to do with their IPs and where they want to take them, and it bodes well to me for God of War and for like Ghost of Tsushima when they eventually do a sequel to that. So that's something that I thought was just really off the bat, just straight away, was so noticeable from the inclusion of characters and references and payoffs and stuff like that from Horizon Zero Dawn, that it just felt like I was revisiting Zero Dawn for something new, not I was like doing something completely new. And that's exactly what you want from a sequel. And to me, it's just like so refreshing to have that, because I don't feel like I've played a game that's a true sequel like this for such a long time. Even when you look at like The Last of Us Part 2, although it was like a sequel, there's a time skip and it tells a new story. Or you look at Uncharted, like each one is sort of a different story, although there's some continuity between them. Whereas this is just like, it picks up where you left off pretty much, and you just go into, what's the continuation of this? It's not like a new story, it's the same story, there's more to it, and you follow it through, and that is what I really, really like about it. I just think it works so well as a sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn.
I completely agree with you. Everything you said, point to point. I hate making Assassin's Creed comparisons. I hate it, but it is this. It just so happens to be the perfect one. AC2 to Brotherhood, the continue straight on. The story wasn't finished where you thought it would finish. It actually continues on. There's more to it. Yeah, and it's put you down in the world that when you play Horizon Forbidden West, it plays like you're playing Zero Dawn. Like you said, it feels like you're playing the same game, but when you look at it closer, the gameplay's been built on. The graphics look incredible. I can't get over these visuals. It's fucking insane.
It's wild.
These visuals. And the way the game runs and all the extra additions and the more you can do within the world and how much more balanced it is. The expansiveness of the world, the customization, the skills. There's so much more to this game. But you've got to look closer, because on the surface, you just feel so familiar. You feel like you're back in this world again. And what it gives you in terms of, I haven't seen a game do a recap to a first game and introduction better. This is one of the great intros of any game all time.
Yeah, for sure.
Not just the recap that perfectly sets you up within this world, but also the opening hour with story and making what you've just done in Zero Dawn feel important still, like it's relevant, like it's leapfrogging you onto the future story and introducing you, or reintroducing you, I should say, to some great side characters who are obviously going to be important within Forbidden West. And they're making them even more important characters that maybe in the first game, they were good and they were side characters, but you haven't spent a lot of time with them, and they're really now giving you a lot of depth to a lot of these side characters, and they're just trying to go a bit deeper with everyone, and I really like the way they've done that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the whole opening to the game just solidified for me, because the biggest thing I was worried about going into Forbidden West was just, is this going to have the same vibe as Zero Dawn? Like, what questions can we ask? And I mean, after doing the podcast with Random Side Quest, a lot of that was sort of quelled for me, was like, okay, so there's a lot of things that were introduced in Zero Dawn that I'd either forgot about or didn't know about.
He really changed my whole mood for this game.
For sure. I was like, wow, there's so much lore that like I've forgotten about, I didn't know about, which was so nice. And so going into this game, I was like, had some expectations, and immediately off the bat, it was like, oh, I know about this thing. We talked about this. This is so interesting. That they're actually delving into these things, and it was like, okay, I'm immediately hooked. Like, I want to know more about this, because like I was already thinking about it because of the podcast that we did. Like, there was already these questions about these particular, little tidbits from Zero Dawn. So it was nice then going into Forbidden West to be able to explore that a little bit more, and see where they take that whole storyline, which I've been really, really just really enjoying. I think it's got the exact right vibes, just that mystery and intrigue and the lore there and like the history and all of that stuff where you're just like, you want to know more. Like, every time I get like a big pause moment that sort of acts similar to the moment you get in the Frozen Wilds, where you can sit down and you can talk to Cyan, the AI, about all these different questions you have about Zero Dawn, and stuff. Every time I get a moment like that with a character that maybe knows a bit more than I do, it's so fun. Like, I'm loving every single little dialogue option. I just want to know as much as I possibly can, because it's such an intriguing world with such like intriguing history and lore that I just want to know more about it. And they managed to nail that the same way they did Zero Dawn. And I think Aloy coming at it from a new perspective now, because Zero Dawn is about her coming to terms with it and learning everything and figuring it out. But you start Forbidden West and she knows everything. You know, she's been through this. She's got that experience. And she's had time to really look into everything and research everything, because it's 6 months later. And so you see her as she's so much more confident in herself and in all of this stuff. And it's so cool to see. Like, she just like has this vibe about it. She's so charismatic and so confident. And I really like seeing that. And so her then coming at this new information from like a different angle that's maybe a bit more like, you feel like you're up to speed with it. You feel like you're on the same page. Like, you both sort of figured out everything as you went along in Zero Dawn. And then going into this, you're both very confident in everything. And like, now it's finding out new things, not from the point of view of like, I know nothing, but I know something and I need to know more, sort of thing. And I think all of that was executed just really well. And it shows like character development and a good starting point to then push off from in Forbidden West, which I just think it's been really, really, really cool.
Yeah. I think what I actually want to spend the most time talking about with you, outside of the general world, but in terms of story, and this isn't a spoiler because it's set up very early on, the thing that has surprised me the most about this game in terms of its plot, and the thing I've been most happy with, is actually what they're doing with Aloy in this game. Now, what I mean by that is, and they've set it up so subtly, and I'm digging it. Now, I don't want to spend any time really like howling over the story until we do the spoiler cast, because there's a moment early on in the story here that I've just played, and I'm not that far in, that blew my fucking mind, and I can't believe we're already doing this shit this early in the game, and I'm like, holy shit. You know, and I'd heard from people, from reactions I'd seen, I was like, oh, I feel like something happens early on that's really big, or that blows people away. I was like, oh, we have to talk about it. Like, you even said we have to talk about it. I'm like, oh shit, why did, like, you seem like I have to have played some of it. So I even asked you this morning, is there a part I need to have gotten up to? And I've just gotten up to it.
Right.
But again, we can't talk about that until the spoiler cast, because a lot of good stuff.
Yeah,
but with Aloy specifically, what I want to talk about is her as a character and what they're doing with character development. Because I've heard some complaints from Zero Dawn. Some people that didn't like Aloy were about Aloy. That, like, Mary Sue vibes. She's just perfect, knows everything. The best.
Yeah. Which I don't agree with, but
whatever. I don't agree with either, but I can see if they don't do something different with her in this game, that she could easily become that later, right? Because she is so perfect in so many ways, but she's so new to the world, and she's just so like curious about what's going on, and she's got so many questions, and that's a big part of her character. And what makes her so special in Zero Dawn is the way, and what makes Aloy just special in general as a character, what separates her from everyone else is the fact that she connects with people. All people. That's her X factor. That's what's special about her. Yeah, she's smart, and she's technically a clone of Elizabeth Sobek, right? Like, genetically.
Yeah.
That's obviously why she's chosen one, quote unquote, right? Like, it's up to her to save the world. But what actually is special about her, what actually sets her apart as a character, is her ability to connect with people and with the characters of the world.
Yeah.
Now, what they're doing in Forbidden West, and they set up super early on, what I dig, is the fact that they're fucking with that part of her character. She is pushing people away constantly at the start of this game. Like, that's the start of this game, is her not being able to connect with the people she's connected with. Like, they're actually putting this weight of the world that she has on her shoulders. They're not just having it like, well, she's chosen one so she can handle it, and here's the weight, and now go save the world, and it's easy. Like, the complications aren't that, it's actually hard to save the world. The complications are that she's feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders, and that's affecting her ability to be herself.
Yeah.
So what separates her as a character is that she connects with all these people. that are now being reintroduced in this sequel. Some major characters, but she is unable to keep those proper connections with them because she's dealing with the weight of the world. She's so busy trying to save it. She's, people are like, oh, you're just going to abandon us. Oh, you just left us. Oh, of course, you've got to save the world. You don't have time to have a drink with me. Like, all these different characters you meet early on introduced. I'm like, oh, they're really making it complicated for her. It's like a very Peter Parker Spider-Man storyline. She's got, kinda. With great power comes great responsibility, and with that, she's living two lives.
Mm-hmm.
And the pressure of that responsibility is pushing down on her, or what makes her special, which is her ability to connect with characters. And I'm looking forward, and I hope that pays off in this game, where she has to learn she can't just go too fast. She can't just be in a rush to save the world, because she's going to hurt herself. She's going to get injured. She's going to lose lives. She's going to get other people hurt if she doesn't just stop and think and calm down, because she's letting the pressure really get to her. And I'm loving that. And this is not a major spoiler. This is the setup of the game. I'm super early on. This is the part of the character that I want to see explored by the end of this game. I want to see her have to learn from that mistake. And that's such an interesting character development point that's just a subtext of the overarching narrative, which in and of itself is fucking mental.
Yeah.
I am vibing so hard with this game and its story. What are your thoughts on this? What I've just mentioned about Aloy and her character? Have you thought about that? Is that something you've sort of been really enjoying?
Definitely. I think one of the cool things about that was the sort of, I guess the way I looked at it was like, it's showing the similarities, but also the differences between Aloy and Elizabeth Sobek, in the way that Aloy is very much a people person. She loves people and she connects with people, like you said. And in having the weight of the world on her shoulders, the fact she's got to save the world, it's pushing those people away. You get to see those similarities to Elizabeth, in the way that Elizabeth was very, very focused on saving the world, but she didn't have a lot to ground her there. Ultimately, that's why she ended up doing what she did, where she gave her life, because she cared so much about saving the world, but not so much about the people in it. And that, I think that's quite an interesting juxtaposition between the two of them, because Aloy very much does care about the people in it, but she's at the point, when we meet her at the beginning of the game, she is pushing people away. And sort of you can see her sort of, I guess, becoming or taking on that Elizabeth Sobek role. And it'll be interesting to see if by the end of the game, she sort of finds her own individuality and is like, no, the reason I want to save the world is because I care so much about every person that lives in the world. Because of the connection she's made throughout Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. And I think that'll be something interesting to explore with her character. So I do feel that it's something they've explicitly brought up for the purpose of exploring. Maybe not as the main story, obviously, but as something there to have a sort of character growth and development alongside, what we're exploring in the main story, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Aloy has been such an important character to PlayStation already, and one thing I was thinking early on at the start of this game is, I'm like, Aloy's already an iconic Sony character. How crazy is that? This is only a second game. And I just feel like playing at the start of this game, I was like, holy fuck, I'm back playing as Aloy. The same way for an Xbox, sometimes you jump in like in a Halo 3 or Halo 4 and you're like, oh my god, it's Master Chief. There's this weird or Nathan Drake. Like, there's these special iconic characters where when you start playing as them, you feel this sense of wow factor. Do you know what I mean? Shit, I'm playing as this character. Yeah, this is awesome. There's a charisma, there's a presence, there's a history to that character. I already felt that starting this game and playing as Aloy. And that's crazy to me.
Yeah, for sure. It was really good to revisit and come back and just... I just fucking love her. She's just such a really good character. Like, every single scene she's in, she's just so good. And, like, Ashley Birch does an incredible job with the acting. Like, she's just brilliant. She just embodies the character so well. And I think the writing as well. Like, Aloy feels consistent with Zero Dawn, because over the course of Zero Dawn, you go from... she's always been very curious and very sure of herself. I mean, like, you see that because she grew up with a focus as a kid, so obviously she's still going to have a better understanding of the world than most people, but you see her learn that throughout Zero Dawn and discover things and figure stuff out, and how AI works and what AI is, and the history, and like who these different people are, like Elizabeth Sobeck and Ted Faro and everybody. So it's interesting then going into one of the things that I just love so much about Forbidden West is just how much more confident Aloy is. Like, you come back to this character and it's not like a reset where she's like exactly the same and she has to learn it all again. Like, she already knows this. She's bringing the knowledge she learned throughout Zero Dawn and the 6 months between the two games, and you can see her just like, she's so confident and like so just this vibe about her where she's just so in control, and I love that. I think it's just so like a joy to see whenever she's in a scene. She like, she's always the one that's like the most confident, the most on like in control. I think that's really, really cool. And she's
I think sometimes that's also what's great about what they're complicated with the characters, that she's sometimes losing control. And like,
yeah, for sure.
Like, because early on, yeah, she's got that confidence, like you said. I felt it too. It's like, oh, she so knows this. And even funny moments of like, there's major characters that at the start with she'd have to just put up with their nonsense, and because they're a high political office or they're whatever, and she's just like telling them to shut the fuck up. Like, I'm Aloy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got a purpose here, and it's like, that's fucking sick. Love the confidence, but then sometimes that also is leading her to making mistakes because she's not stopping and thinking about what she's doing before she does it, which is also, there's consequences to that too. So it's, I like that it's not just, hey, I level up, I'm more confident, I know everything now. It's like, yeah, I know everything, but what comes with that? There's some negative, so I need to learn to balance that as well. So that's what I feel like this game's about, is balancing the confidence that she has and that level of which she has of responsibility, and also understanding how to also be humble enough with it in yourself to know that you can fuck up and make mistakes. You've got to be patient. You've got to really like be careful. You're not indestructible.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of gameplay, in terms of the world building, in terms of things we can't spoil, how do you feel about this world, the way they introduced the Forbidden West and the open world so far? I'm not the first area. There's sort of like a bit of a tutorial area before you can really run free. Well, even then, there's probably multiple. There's the introduction area of the main map. There's the tutorial area, and then there's like, I'm in the next first main area. That's where I still am. Yeah. How far are you? Have you got the whole map sort of unlocked at this point?
No, I've probably got about half the map.
Holy shit! You're 40 hours in.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot.
There's too much.
It's there's a lot of stuff. Well, the good thing is you don't have to do it all. You know, I'm just choosing to do it all, and I think
good.
That's one of the things. No, I've done like literally from where you are in the main story, which you said where you were. I don't know if you've done any more than that since, not really. But from that point to where I am, I'm probably 3 story missions ahead of you.
Wow.
But dude, I've done so much in between, just so much. Which
the game does encourage you well to do side content, because I just got up to a point where it's like, I should go here, or I could explore this area for a bit. And I'm like, you know what? I will do that, Aloy. I will explore this area for a bit.
Yeah, I've been loving it. I think I've been doing side quests as I come across them. I've got a couple like just stored up because I got to a point in the story where I kind of just wanted to push on a little bit. But I've been really loving doing like the old world relics, like the little, where you get like a little puzzle inside a building and you have to like find a relic, and like you get little notes as you go through and stuff.
I haven't done any of those.
They're really cool. They're like little like puzzly like things, which are just like really cool. I just really enjoy doing them. I don't know, there's something about it. It like scratches an itch for me, just like navigating around like this little ruin and figuring out like exactly how to solve the puzzle, moving a crate, pulling stuff out the wall and stuff, which has just been sort of nice. I like doing those. And then I've just kind of been going around different towns, exploring stuff, doing the tallnecks, and just doing
Have you done
a
all
bunch
the
of different
tallnecks?
side stories. No, I've only done like 3 of them, I think.
Right.
Which I really love the way they do tallnecks in this game. Like every one I've done is completely different. Like the first one I did was the most similar to Zero Dawn, in terms of like just getting to the top of a thing, jumping onto it. Then the other ones have just been like completely different. in how you approach doing them, which is really cool. It's like really different. This is like some really inventive, creative ways of like having this tall neck be accessible, and I think that's really, really cool. That's something that this game does a lot more of, is everything feels unique and varied. Like, everything feels thoughtful. Nothing feels copy-pasted. Maybe the only thing I would say is like the bandit camps, which I'm not too fond of. I don't really care about those. I'll probably do them at some point maybe, but they're not like top priority of like thing to do, because it's like, it's just a bandit camp, like whatever. I like there's a storytelling aspect to it. Like when you do a bandit camp, Aloy will have something to say, and like you investigate the camp, and like it will have like relevance to like another quest, and like it will link to something else. So I like that about it. But at the end of the day, they are just bandit camps, and it's like, you know, whatever. It's I don't need to do that, but everything else has been really good. I think the world is just a huge step up from Zero Dawn in terms of the density of it. And Zero Dawn was a very dense world with a lot going on, but I just think there's so much more density to this game, and variety in terms of what you can do and what you can see. It just feels like the world just keeps changing, and it's always evolving, and you're always discovering new stuff and exploring, and the lore there, and the different tribes and the people. It's just, there's so much happening, and I just think it's so well put together in such like a well designed way. I'm just having a really, really good time just discovering every little detail of the world, and just sort of going around at my own pace and discovering things. It's just like a really solid open world game, and which is crazy because I'm like, you know, kind of sick of open world games, but this is just kind of like, it's made me remember like why I loved them in the first place, which I think is something quite special.
Yeah, it's amazing to think that when we look back at Horizon Zero Dawn 5 years ago, and this beautiful game and new world we played, and how excited we were for the future of it, that, man, isn't it just nice to get a sequel that's just overall just brilliant?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nice.
That's just exactly what you want from a sequel. It's no more than what we wanted from it. It's not sitting there and being like, we are somehow blowing your socks off in this revolutionary new sequel. It's like, no, we're exactly what you wanted us to be, no more, no less.
It feels so nice. Like, it just feels comfortable, but like all of the new introductions are so welcome that it's like, it just feels good. Like, I genuinely don't think I've played a sequel like this maybe since Brotherhood. Like, where honestly, it just feels so nice to come back to. It's like, I feel like I'm at home with it, and it's just so nice. Such a good feeling. And it's been such a while since I've had that.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Just that follow-on story, the world where you're playing the game just feels the way the old game felt, in all the best ways.
Yeah.
And we're with a great character and a great story. And what they've done with these side characters as well, and the extra depth they've given them, have been breaths of fresh air. They're characters I didn't care much for in Zero Dawn, to be honest. Like, I liked them, but I'm like, I guess we'll see them again in this game. Cool. But already I'm like, man, I love all these characters way more here than I did there. They've just given that extra layer of depth and care and connection to Aloy that I'm just really, really loving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel the same way about new characters they've introduced too. Like, as you keep going through and you meet new people, I feel like they've given them so much more depth than they gave to what would have been new characters in Zero Dawn. Like you say, like with like characters like Val and Erend. You know, like Val, I liked Val. I didn't dislike Val in Zero Dawn, but I didn't really care about him. It's like, whatever. Agreed. Like, he's a character that Aloy knows. But in this game, like, I fucking love him. I think he's brilliant. Such a good character. And they've, like, added so much depth there. And I think they've given that same care to new characters they introduced, that, you know, if they make a third game, when you see those characters returning, you're like, oh, I fucking love that character. Because, you know, they built a connection with him in Forbidden West. So, I think that's something they've really done well. That's an improvement from Zero Dawn for sure.
Yeah, they've definitely built a lasting legacy already with these two games. To justify a third, again, I don't know if this game ends. We haven't finished it, but you know, already it's very justifiable. You'd continue Aloy in this franchise in the future, and cement Aloy as a Sony PlayStation like icon, with your Kratos and your Nathan Drake and your Joel and Ellie's. You know what I mean? Like, that's how iconic Aloy, I think, already is now with the sequel. That's just, I haven't heard a bad word about this game from fans. I've seen some reviews from people I've never heard of. You know, but most of the reviews were really, really good. It got great critic scores, and it sounds like fans absolutely adore it. It's not just you and it's not just me, but it was so good to see from you to say, dude, you've got to play Horizon Forbidden West, and that's partly why I was away on the weekend, so I didn't play until Sunday afternoon. So we normally record Sunday night, but you gave me an extra day, so I've probably played 5 hours of the game now, which, for me, it's a lot to play in 2 days. It's a shitload of game to play.
Yeah, for sure.
But I've really, really been loving it. And again, I can't wait until I finish work and training tomorrow and I get home and have some dinner and play Forbidden West again. That's fucking exciting.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely one of those games. It's just so, I think it's like most times when like a PlayStation game comes out, and very specifically with this because it's a sequel to a game that I love so much. It just feels so good to play, and it just feels like it reminds me so much like why I really love games. When you play a game of like this quality and this caliber, because there's so much shit that gets released that like when you play a really good game, it just sort of, I don't know, it's sort of like a refresher of like, yeah, okay, video games are actually really, really, really good when they're good. And this is definitely one of those. And it's definitely solidified to me that like Horizon is one of my favorite franchises for sure. Like I love it so much. It's up there like top 5 for me, favorite franchises that exist.
Currently,
because I just
me too. Yeah,
love it so much. I love it so much.
Well, I definitely put Zero Dawn, if not in my top 10, as in my top 15 favorite games all time. I loved Zero Dawn. And this, I feel like, is already fitting into that same sort of category. So I definitely put Horizon up there as one of my favorite franchises. And certainly at the moment, it's top 3 favorite franchises. Kingdom Hearts, God of War, Horizon, like of current ongoing franchises. I'd say happily I'd put those in the top 3. What else is still going? I mean, Last of Us, I'd put Last of Us in the top 5. It'd probably be 4th.
Does that count as a franchise though? Like it's just 2 games.
I mean,
I guess
that's how many Horizon has, bro.
Yeah, but I guess like Horizon is more of like a, I don't know. I guess to me, I see The Last of Us as like just 2 individual
movies almost
stories like that just sort of exist.
Nah, that's so weird. That's such a weird way to look at it.
I don't know. I just don't see it as
one from the events of the first is 2 games.
I guess so.
Horizon. Yeah, that's weird. It's of course a franchise, and there's just as likely to be a 3rd Last of Us as there is to be a 3rd Horizon.
Yeah, sure. I guess so.
It's completely the same thing.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, it's just weird how that works in my head. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
you
just
are.
How
that
I
is
see
weird.
it.
That is weird that you think that way. I agree.
It's just how I see it. It's so odd. I guess it's like when a franchise does like lots of different things. I guess. I don't know.
No, I don't. I have no
feels like like I don't know. I guess like I don't know. It's so difficult to explain. I don't know.
Last of Us is a TV series.
Yeah,
you know
I guess
what
so.
I mean? It's got way more to it. It's a franchise.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. I don't know why I feel the way that I do.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. But yeah, as I was saying, Last of Us Part 2 definitely in my top 5 as well. I'd say. I thought that second game was a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
But what else is still going? Halo isn't in my top 5.
Halo, yeah.
It wouldn't be. No, it's a piece of shit. I mean,
would be in my top 5.
But
I don't even know. Final Fantasy would be in my top 5 for sure. Fucking love those games.
I mean, I've only played one Final Fantasy, and I think it's a fucking masterpiece. But I can't say it's my favorite franchise or anything.
No, I get that.
But Red Dead. I mean, we've got to put Red Dead in there. There's only 2 games. Red Dead Redemption. That's a franchise.
Yeah, true. I guess so. I guess for me, what's like weird about it for me is because like would Red Dead Redemption. I guess Red Dead Redemption 2 is like one of my favorite games of all time. I guess that means I guess my top 5 would be the Red Dead franchise. But like it's weird to me because it's kind of just one game that's done that. Like because.
But that's what Horizon is too, bro. I don't know.
But I think it's. I love Horizon Zero Dawn.
You're thinking of a franchise like
on
it's
the
like
same
a bit
level.
of a right.
So like to me, I guess for me, like The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 are just on different levels. Where like The Last of Us Part 2 is the one where I'm like, that is like one of the greatest things I've ever played. So I guess to me, it's like, do I love the Last of Us franchise, or do I just really love the Last of Us Part 2?
Right.
I guess it's like...
Well, I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Redemption 1 are top 5, both in the top 5, 6 favorite games all time for me.
True.
So that's why it's probably my second favorite, really, because the only when I look at God of War, I'm like, yeah, I'm pumped for Ragnarok, but I've only played God of War 4 and like watched 3 in like a walkthrough.
Mm-hmm. I guess for me, where I'm thinking of this from is that it's in my head is like, is this something that could go on forever, or is it finite? And I guess to me, like Horizon, you could do lots and lots of Horizon games, and for like God of War, I just know, like, you know, when you're done with Norse, where you're gonna go? You're gonna go Egypt. What are you gonna do next? Like, there's so much you can do in the future. Whereas when you look at The Last of Us, I'm like, they have one game left in them probably, and then you're wrapping that up because it's too much otherwise. So to me, it's like, if I feel that something is like finite so much to the point where I'm like, they are done with it or very nearly done with it, it just doesn't feel like I guess an ongoing franchise. I don't know, like Red Dead Redemption, like that's, you know, I guess if they keep making different Red Dead games, I'll be like, oh, so it's a franchise that's going forever. But I guess if with just Red Dead Redemption, it's like, that's over now. So I guess I don't know.
But there's going to be a third Red Dead Redemption, and that we do know.
No way.
Yeah.
Why would they do a third Red Dead Redemption?
They will find a way. I promise you, there'll be a third Red Dead Redemption.
I doubt it.
I don't. I definitely.
I think there's a need. What would you do?
I'm just saying to you, man. There's gonna be a third one. I just hope you know that.
They're not gonna do one.
Yeah, they are.
Nah, this is Rockstar. They know what they're doing.
I mean, I agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing a third one though.
But you don't need it. The story's done. It's over.
We'll see.
Nah, it's not happening. I'm saying it here and now. I'm gonna bet my life on it.
Well, I mean, I would say we'll make a bet on it, but the game will probably come out in 8 years, and you'll be dead by then. That we also know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So there's not even a point of making a bet with you about it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'll win anyway, but I'll also be dead, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. But yeah, that is weird the way you're thinking about franchises. That's such a weird thing. They're franchises. They are.
Yeah, they are technically franchises. I guess it's just in my head. I'm like, is this something that could just like exponentially go on forever? Or... Is
it like Marvel, where we can make 10,000 of them?
Yeah, exactly. I guess to me, like, that's a franchise where it's like, I'm into Marvel, so like there's always something new happening. And it's weird to me because Horizon is like, we've only had 2 games over the course of 5 years, so it's not really the same. But I guess to me, I'm like, this is something that's going to just grow and grow, and they're going to keep going with it. But then when I look at The Last of Us, I'm like, look, they got one more game. It'll come out in like 10 years. It's not really like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel the same. I don't know.
I understand that it doesn't feel the same because it's not the same, but it's still a franchise.
It is still a franchise, but I guess, yeah. I guess that's why I wouldn't put it in like my top, because I'm like, what's something that's like relevant and consistent and always sort of happening, and something that I like really, really love both of. I guess I just really love Horizon that much, where I'm like, it is my favorite franchise even when they're not releasing stuff.
I think you've just got recency bias because you're a weird cunt.
No, that's not even true. I felt Horizon was definitely a contender for one of my favorite franchises before Forbidden West, but this has just solidified that, yeah, no, I absolutely love this franchise so much. Like, both games are, to me, on very similar levels of how much I love them. And it's, yeah, I don't know. It's weird, though. I don't know.
Right. Okay. I mean, okay. It doesn't even matter, does it? You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah. But anyway, is there anything you want to add about Horizon Forbidden West before we wrap this episode of the As Always podcast up?
I don't think so. I think we've talked enough about it. There'll be plenty more to talk about when we do the spoiler cast, which will be a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure we'll chat next 4 Pillars podcast as well, a little bit spoiler free about Horizon, just to see what George and Ethan also think.
Yeah.
But I know they're both loving it, but keen to chat about it and more next week on the 4 Pillars podcast. So again, if you like what you're listening to here, subscribe to the 4 Pillars Network on YouTube, where you can watch the videos for these podcasts, for the 4 Pillars podcast, and every other week the As Always podcast, where the aim is next episode in the As Always podcast to have Mr. Maddie Plays back on the show. He's supposed to be on the end of last year. We didn't get him, but we've reorganised, and he'll be on next episode of the As Always podcast. That's super exciting. One of our favourite guests. And winner of Guest of the Year, in fact, in 2021. Yeah. So it would be very exciting to have him back and to chat more about Horizon Forbidden West. It's going to be a topic for a long time. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the As Always podcast, where we did deep dive into Horizon. We took a really, really deep dive, more than anything I'd say, though, into Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And I think that was, I'd go as far as to say, masterful podcasting by yourself, James. You really blew me away with your knowledge.
Thank you.
Of Tolkien, your knowledge of Middle Earth, and
my knowledge of Elden Ring, of course.
And your knowledge of Elden Ring,
most importantly,
which really helped. For me to understand it, because now I feel like I can play the game now. Whereas before I wasn't going to get it. You've literally sold a copy of Elden Ring. At least one. I'd say, I'd go as far as say thousands.
I think so too.
When all's said and done.
I think every person that listens to the show is probably going to buy one, so the view count probably represents how many we've sold. I reckon.
Yeah, I'd say more though. I'd say you'll sell more copies than this podcast gets views.
I think so too. Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's what I would say. But again, if you are enjoying what you're listening to here, ladies and gentlemen, you want to hear more, head over to patreon.com/as always, and you get more podcast content. That includes over 130 episodes of the Clubhouse podcast, best podcast on the internet, available to stream right now for just as little as $1 a month. And you can also, for $5 or more, get on the credits of all of our podcasts, the Clubhouse podcast and the As Always podcast. So to thank those sweet vintage lads, we have Ollie the Superior, Ollie, Avery, Dobbs, Clark 53, Damien, Epic Alaric, or Gil-galad's Shining Shaft, Ferentino, Flash Paradox, Franco, Jasper Olsen, King Richard III, Ryan Hayfert, Tristan Weaver, Viridian, Ballsack 47, Aragon, Kimasaba Gamer, Cream Pie, Sikaris, aka Kieran Adam, the Tobias Forge Simp, Alfie Robert, Andy Kill, Big Dick 66999, Begging Higgins, is Thankful for a Stick Brethren, Better than Clubbers, BFHC, Biggest Fucking Virgin, Bodge, PQ Overlord, The Elder, Brian Ford, Buttermilk, Jesus, aka Zacchino, Call Me Daddy, Christian0210, Connor DeRose, Bull in the Alley, Dry Man, Gamer 101, Eli, Emil Catborg, Garidito Hacker, Ethan Dean, Fishy Furious, Coco Jean, Give Me a Penis, Geeko Swag, God Bless, The Visionary, Zack Schneider, Gwen Hughes, Harrison Daly, Hooky, Jack, DG 1998, Jaden B. Bennett, Joe, The Founded Scarab, Josh Duvillers, Josh J. Anderson, Joshua Morick, Assassin, Christian Rowe, Liam, Luca, Lucas R05, Louis de Leon, Lumistrad, Mac Watto 123, Mario 5380, Master Bass, Max H, Muddy Unicorn, Nick Miller, Otical World 7, our best and favourite mod, Brownie, Philip, Stillwagon, Radok, Ravjosh, Seth, Son of a Bitch, OG Doggo, Sparky Buck, Sussy Imposter, Amogus Moment, The Blue Cow, Theftmas, They Call Me the Greenie Berry, but Assassin Christmas is long gone, aka Connor, Tony Walshy, and Zeppo. Thank you, sweet bitches, lads, for helping power this podcast, and we'll see you next time for another episode of the As Always podcast. Thank you, and goodbye.
Bye, everybody.